Perfect.
Who better than Derek, Pat, Andrew, the wrestling crew? Man, they bout to put an end to y'all careers like a finishing move. They bout to give y'all facts on these cats that's fighting on these mats. Y'all can't see them like John Cena. Even if y'all had 20/20 vision, y'all better listen, pay attention, and take notes down and realize that it's not your time now. And watch these three kings take the crown. Hey, hey.
What's going on? This is the unpredictable Jay George, and you're listening to Wrestling or... Hold on, let me do that again. Hey guys, what's going on? Hold on, wait. It's your boy, the unpredictable Jay George, and you're listening to Wrestling IQ 101 podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Wrestling IQ 101. I'm Andrew alongside Derek.
You.
And you can follow us on Wrestling IQ 101 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And today we're sitting with legendary wrestler Al Snow. How's it going, man?
Going really well.
Awesome.
How things with you guys?
Doing great. We're talking to you. Everything's great.
Fantastic.
So, Al, a little brief background. How did you become a wrestling fan?
Just watching the original Sheik's territory, and grew up watching. His real name was Ed Farhat. Watching him, watching the characters, and then when WTVS came around, got it at Georgia Championship Wrestling, and got to see an entire new type of wrestling, and just was blown away, and immediately was captured and was a fan for the rest of my life.
Nice. Now, when it comes to the original Sheik, is it true that you were actually terrified of him?
Oh God, yeah. As a kid, and even because he was so convincing and so believable that even after I'd gotten into the business, when you would come into a locker room or whatever, you kind of got a little, intimidated.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Al, how was it working with Jim Cornette?
It was great. Jimmy is he's a wonderful guy, and he's I really owe Jimmy a lot. I mean, over the years, I probably could count on, to my knowledge, at least one hand of the number of people that have really went out of their way or done, helped me out career-wise or wherever. But Cornette's definitely been one of those guys. So.
What about Vince Russo? Did you like working with him too?
Yeah, I enjoyed working with Vince Russo a lot. I know a lot of people are very split on Vince, and but the fact of the matter is that Vince was there. Vince Russo was there at the time of the Attitude Era, and he did play a factor. He wasn't the be-all, end-all factor, but he certainly got myself and a lot of other people opportunities that otherwise we probably wouldn't have gotten. Because he influenced Vince McMahon, to give guys a chance and to go in different directions that Vince McMahon may not have always wanted to go in or would have done, typically. And that's in direct relationship to, Vince Russo and his influence.
Nice. Now, I saw in doing research that you actually helped train Dan Severn. I was wondering, how was that experience, and have you ever thought about doing MMA yourself?
It was interesting because it's not like it is now, where MMA has become its own style, where fighters, they have a ground game, a stand-up game, submission game. It's become a very distinct style all unto its own, very encompassing. Where at that point in time, 3-round tournament system that you didn't know who you were going to fight initially. You didn't know if you won that fight who you were going to fight in the second round, and you didn't know who you were going to fight in the third round, and you didn't know what styles. I mean, they were, Dan faced a Muay Thai kickboxer in the first round, a long style karate fighter in the second round, and then he, faced off against a jiu-jitsu fighter in the final round with Royce Gracie. So, there was no way, you couldn't watch tapes, you couldn't prepare yourself, you just, we went in there and did our best with what we had, what we knew we could do.
So, Al, how was it working with Jonathan Coachman and then your feud with the King and Jim Ross?
Working with Coach was awesome. I mean, Coach and Jonathan Coachman and Michael Cole, both, they were, they carried me. I mean, I strapped a saddle to their backs and rode them. I mean, both of them, but especially Michael Cole. Mm-hmm. I think Jonathan Coachman gets his acknowledgement for the talent that he has, which he does. He's a very talented individual. But I don't think that Michael Cole gets enough acknowledgement for the talent that he has. And he's very, very good and very, very capable. And, I don't think that either one of them, though, get quite sufficiently the credit that they do, as much of a factor that they play in the presentation of the show overall.
Now, when you were doing commentary, did you still want to be an active wrestler?
Yeah, but I enjoyed, the commentary a lot, and it was a really a different kind of challenge than, what I was used to. And it's not easy. I mean, it's a lot more difficult than people care to believe. Everybody thinks, it's just easy to just sit out there and, sit there and call the match. But nothing could be further from the truth. I mean, you've really got to, be able to tell a story, sell the right things at the right time in the right way, and still maintain a character and a personality of your own, be entertaining. And the whole time, you may, if you're doing Raw or something, you probably got Vince literally screaming in your ear, cursing you out. So, and that's just because he, when you come back to the back, he's fine. It's not like he continues it, but at the moment, he's very much in the moment at those times.
Now, you've been in the business for a while. You've done wrestling. You actually helped train a lot of others. Can you tell us, what do you think are, the biggest differences from wrestling when you started to wrestling how it is now?
Well, there's really not that. There are differences and there aren't differences. What I mean by that is that, I've said this 100 times before, and that is, there's really only one thing that's quote unquote fake about wrestling, and that is just that the outcome is predetermined. That's it. That's never changed. But, the things that have changed, would be, the presentation, the level of sophistication of the audience, and therefore the level of sophistication of, how you perform. The onset or the creation of downside guarantees, or guaranteed contracts, period. That's changed. And the ability, the accessibility, to where just anybody pretty much can pay their money and get trained to become a professional wrestler. That used to be, wrestling was a very, very protected business. And what I mean by protected is that not anyone can get in it. And nowadays it's become very open. And I'm not talking about social media or anything like that. I'm talking about in direct relationship to, people going, I want to be a wrestler, and then they just pay their money and they go get trained. And next thing you know, they may not even get a pair of trunks and a pair of boots. They may just get, some kind of outfit with some amateur wrestling shoes, and bingo bango, they're now a professional, quote unquote, professional wrestler.
So Al, you work for WWE and Impact. What are some positive and negatives about each company?
WWE is WWE. I mean, it's the biggest, most prominent, and best platform for you to, be able to, create your own brand and promote yourself, and you don't get much bigger or much better than that. And with their production and all of that, they give you all the tools to, make you a star. For you to make yourself a star. That's the big myth, is that they make you a star. And they don't. They capitalize on and promote you after you, by you making yourself a star. And they give you the tools to do it. And you have the best opportunity there to do it. And that's a very much positive. TNA is much the same, but on a lower platform. I mean, they don't have as broad or as dramatic a reach as WWE has. But you're still you're on both a national and international show that allows you the exposure to, make yourself a star. And that's an incredible opportunity. If you utilize it correctly. And you go out there and try to do exactly that. Make yourself a star, make yourself an attraction, and thus a value to the wrestling company that you're working for. Then that's all on you, and you can do it in both of those situations. It's just that TNA is not going to be as big or as prominent a platform as WWE is, for sure.
Yeah. Has training been something that you kind of always wanted to do? And because I've seen you done Tough Enough, and you also done Gut Check with Impact. So has training been something you always wanted to do?
Training, I think the number of talent that I've trained that have went on to have some kind of success in wrestling, I think is going to be my one real legacy that I leave behind. I've been instrumental in a lot of people's careers that have went on to become major stars in professional wrestling, and I couldn't be more thrilled. I kind of got into the training thing originally because I had my own school in Ohio, and started training guys, and probably before I really should have. I don't think I had quite enough experience. I had only about 10 years of experience at the time, maybe, and I really don't know if that was the right time to be doing it, but I did, and did really well, and a lot of the guys that I trained at that time went on to, successful careers, Truth Martini and Ring of Honor, Dan, Severin, Blue Meanie, quite a few other guys too. Went on to have, successful careers, and then Tough Enough. A lot of guys, we all know those the talent that came out of And then, I got to be the head of, the developmental trainer for WWE with OVW. And, there's still a lot of those guys that are at this moment in time, on the main roster and are, big players up there. And, both men and women. And, I can take pride in the fact that I played either 100% role from the ground up or played a factor in refining and developing them to where they became the stars that they are. And, I don't think I'm done training yet. I think that I've still got plenty more to do.
Awesome. So, Al, what were some of your favorite road stories or things that happened in the locker room that you could talk about?
I'm trying to think. You gotta give me a second here. I mean, if you give me an idea, because there's so many. I mean, it's just such a ridiculous world that we live in the wrestling world that, only in wrestling can you ever, stuff will happen. And if you tell it to people, like I'll go on movie sets and work on movie sets and acting and stuff, and I'll start telling some stories about what happened on the road, and they'll look at me like, "You've got to be kidding! There's no way that could happen." But if I were to tell it to another wrestler, they'd just go, "Yeah, of course, it's another day at the office." You know what I mean? It's normal and completely the way it goes. So.
Was it true that Mick Foley would take popcorn from the arena and just eat that in the car or something like that?
Oh, yeah, he would do things like that, yeah. He was on, at one time, he was on a kick of and I don't know what the hell he was thinking. He wanted to try and live on the road on $40 a day. He had set himself a limit of like $40 a day. That was hotel, his part of the hotel, rental car, and then his food, too. And it's like, wow. He's not going to be able to do that. Geez, what do you think? What are you thinking, man? Yeah. Just no way to pull that off. So, I mean, it's one thing to be cheap. It's another, my God, where you open the wallet and the president starts shutting their eyes because of the sun finally hitting them.
Yeah. I mean, that's still pretty impressive, $40 as a goal, though.
yeah, I mean, it's a pretty stiff goal, too. I mean, that's with a rental, that's his part in the rental car, that's his part in the hotel. Now, keep in mind, that those aren't today's prices, because that's just not realistic in today's prices, but... back then, he was certainly trying. Granted that he still had to eat, for Christ's sake.
Was it true that him and Owen would try to fight each other who could save the most?
Oh, we all did that. We'd all try and, there was a competition for a while about who could get the cheapest car, the best, the highest upgraded car for the least amount of money. I think I won one tour when we were up in, we went to Toronto and Buffalo and in that area, and I got like a brand new Cadillac for like $15 for 4 days or something like that.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
But he got so, got to the point where, if I walked into a hotel at 2 in the morning or something, I'd immediately go into salesman mode and I'd be like, "Oh, what's your shareholder rate?" Now, keep in mind, they probably weren't publicly traded, but the guy behind the counter at 2 o'clock in the morning didn't know. Yeah. So, I just go, "What's the shareholder rate?" And he go, "What's that?" I go, "Special rate for shareholders, guys, people that own stock in the company. We get a certain rate." He goes, "Well, I'm not sure. What have they given you in the past?" Be like, "Oh, $10 a night, because we own so many shares." "Oh, well, okay. Well, then I'll give you $10 a night then, and you get it, or if you go to make reservations, you call and you tell the hotel, that I'm giving away all my secrets. I shouldn't do this. You call them and you say, that you're a travel agent and that you're looking to book a big convention, but that you need to come and check the hotel out, etc. A lot of times you can get a really good deal that way too. Yeah. So.
That's definitely cool. Now, another story I heard that I was wondering was true. I heard when you went out to dinner that you would take Head with you and you would order dinner for her as well.
Yeah, I would, because you know, if you'd asked anyone, any of the fans back then, you know, they would have all told you, they'd have sworn up and down that I was legitimately insane. Like 9 out of 10 people swore up and down I was insane. And, you know, it was important that, you know, I felt, and I still feel, that it's important to always sell, never stop selling. Never stop selling who you are and never stop selling the finish. Because those are the two things that an audience pays to believe in. They don't pay to believe in what you do. They pay to believe in who you are and why you did it. And if they can believe in those two things, then they'll believe in anything you do. And in order for that to be the case, you know, like if I'm crazy and I talk to a head, I can't just talk to it, you know, in the ring. You know, I'm going to dinner. Well, I'm going to dinner with the head.
Yeah.
You know, it was not easy and it was uncomfortable, and you know, but the thing is, you never know who's looking and watching, and then maybe next week they're flipping through the channels and they see me. And they go, "Hey, there's that lunatic. Remember we saw him at the restaurant? He's really crazy."
Yeah.
Now they believe anything I do, absolutely anything I do, because to them I'm real. So if I'm real, whatever I do is real. You know?
Now, do you think that kind of like hurts the business today? Because I'll like give like a perfect example. Like you see Braun Strowman on TV. He's like, you know, he's killing everybody, and then you know I can go to his Instagram page and I could just see him living like a normal person. Do you think that kind of hurts the business?
Absolutely, it does. Yeah, it does, because and you know, people can debate it all they want, but I don't care, because here's why. If you guys know Frank Sinatra, right? You know, Frank Sinatra's a singer, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the only place that you ever saw Frank Sinatra?
New York.
On stage.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, that's true. Yeah, that is
never saw him doing, you know, and I know that was a different time, but I guarantee you, like there are still stars today that the only place you see them is as that star. Being, you know, we're not the only ones that have gimmicks. Wrestlers aren't the only ones that have gimmicks.
Mm-hmm.
Other performers have gimmicks too, meaning a persona that they've sold to the audience. You know, from you know, singers to, you know, Lady Gaga's a gimmick. You know, all these different people, they're not, you know, being a rock star is a gimmick. I heard just, you know, I was listening to an interview with Bobcat Goldthwait when he was talking about what really killed him more than anything else was when he found out that, because he was talking about not breaking character on an interview, and he said, you know, he came up with, you know, the belief that, you know, you have to continuously portray it. And he said the one thing that really killed him more than anything was when he found out Alice Cooper played golf, because that wasn't the gimmick that Alice Cooper sold. You know, Alice Cooper was this, you know, rock star that was this demon guy that was, you know, all about, you know, this evil stuff, and then he's just a regular guy playing golf, and it just kind of killed it for him. And he made the point that golf has killed more rock stars than heroin ever did. You know, and it's true. And the same goes for wrestling. You know, if you want to use social media is an amazing tool, you know, that you can utilize to sell yourself over and above and beyond. But, you know, keep in mind that if you don't feel comfortable on your social media around your friends and family being Al Snow, crazy guy with a head, well then, back when, you know, that was the case, what I needed to do was I needed to have two social medias. I needed to have one social media that only my friends and family could access, and I could be me. I could be the guy that I am. And then I'd have a public social media, and the only thing you'd ever see on Instagram would be pictures of me and head. The only thing you'd ever hear about on Twitter would be me and head. The only thing that you would ever see on Facebook would be me and head. That would be it. And that would would be the way I would do it. Everybody, claims, oh, well, that's dead, that's changed. Nothing could be further from the truth, and I can prove it. And you guys, every one of you, including the two of you, went crazy about Matt Hardy and his broken gimmick. And the only reason you did it was because of the fact that he never broke character. When he went on podcasts, he was that character. He didn't just become Matt Hardy again. He stayed in that character. It allowed you to, even if not believe it, it made you question it. And it made it fun. And it made it more entertaining. Because whether you believe it or not, or you accept it or not, that is what you paid to believe. He is who he is and why he does it.
So, Al, in the Attitude Era, you were part of some major storylines with The Rock and Mick Foley, Big Boss Man. Do you have a favorite thing, and how was it being a part of some of the most prolific, moments in wrestling history?
It was just as incredible as you'd think it would be. I mean, it really was amazing, and the only regret that I have is that I just wish I knew then what I know now, and I could have much more capitalized on the opportunity that I had and the opportunities that I had at that time, and would have gotten even more if I'd have just been wiser about it and capitalized in them in the right fashion. Not tried so hard to be just a great wrestler, but tried hard to be a star and a great attraction. And that was really what my job was supposed to be. And I got lost along the way.
So, Al, when we talked at SWF, you talked about Collar and Elbow, and what does that brand mean to you?
Collar and Elbow, for me, is really truly a representation of what it is to just be a fan of wrestling. Because I quite honestly have been and still am to this day a fan of wrestling. And, I felt like Under Armour kind of represented football and Nike kind of represented, basketball, and you've got all these other brands with all these other sports, but I just didn't feel like we had something that really kind of represented wrestling and represented the passion and the love for it that we as fans have. And that's why I called it Collar and Elbow, was because, everybody knows what Collar and Elbow is, and they know what it is in regards to if you're a wrestling fan. But the really cool thing is, one, if you're a guy, the last thing you want to do is walk around with a picture of another guy's face on your chest. That's just weird. I don't care how much you like the wrestler. It's just weird having the face of another guy on a man's chest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not judging, but hey, each to his own, but you don't dig that, So, and what makes it worse too is that when you're a wrestling fan and you want to wear like something that represents how much you like wrestling, and you wear it out around a bunch of people that aren't wrestlers, the first thing you always hear, and you guys have heard it too, I'm sure, is, well, you like that kind of stuff, it's fake. And it's like, well, no shit, Sherlock. Congratulations. How long did it take you to determine that? Yeah. And, boy, Angela Lansbury might as well give up her job on Murder, She Wrote. You're going to take over, you wonderful detective. It just, please. But now we try to come up with designs that look more like something cool, that if you don't know anything about wrestling, you just look and you see the design and you think, wow, that's cool. I'd really like that shirt, or that jacket, or that hat. But if you know what it is, and you see it, you're like, oh man, that's cool. Yeah, he's a wrestling fan. And you get it, and you share something with each other, and it's for you and the other fans that are around. It's not for everybody else to sit there and go, oh, why are you wearing that guy's, face on your chest? That kind of thing.
Now,
wrestling's fake. Well, yeah, congratulations. Way to go, man. You finally figured something out that everyone has known since the 1930s. Way to go.
Nice. You've seen a lot of wrestlers, whether being in the ring with them or training them personally. Is there anybody that you see, like, whether that's coming up or on the indies, that you think can be like the next like guy or like big superstar?
Can't say right off bat. I mean, because it's so hard to determine that.
Mm-hmm.
That really is totally 100% in control of the guys, the wrestlers themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of guys that have a lot of potential and have a lot of athletic and physical ability, but to be quite honest, guys, that's the key. The essential ingredient to success and being a star is developing your own voice in wrestling, developing who you are so that you can portray it to the audience so well and so thoroughly that they can turn to their friends and family who don't watch wrestling and can say, "You've got to watch this show. There's this guy, and he's A, B, C, D, E." That they can describe you in a sentence or less. That's the key to success. Because if I say beer drinking, ass kicking redneck who flips his boss off, what am I talking about?
So cool.
Exactly. So you see that right there. That was what drove his success. And that's it. Is that really is that's the secret. Undertaker, all these guys that are truly successful and cut across from wrestling fans to just the general audience are people that you understand, and that you can turn around and tell your buddies, "Hey, you gotta watch the show. There's this guy, and he's blah 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 blah."
So Al, when you were growing up as a kid, did you ever think you would be in video games or movies or have your own action figure?
Well, let's get something straight. When I was growing up, there weren't video games. In fact, I'm so old.
Oh my God.
The very first video game was Pong.
Oh, okay.
Oh man.
And the big step up was like ColecoVision. Things that you guys wouldn't even know. I'm telling you, it was a different. Cable television was brand new when I was 12.
Oh man.
The phone was still on the wall. We still had answering machines. It was kind of hard to envision that I would be in a video game or an action figure when the only action figure was G.I. Joe.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about the little G.I. Joes. I'm talking about the big one with the fuzzy hair and the Kung Fu grip G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So, Al, in closing, where can people get you on social media if they want to connect with you?
They can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter and on Facebook at The Real Al Snow. Yes, there were fakes, which I would send them a message and go, "Come on, guys, if you're going to fake being a celebrity, aim higher." I mean, really. Why shoot for me? You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah. And where can people pick up collar and elbow gear?
They can go to collarandelbowbrand.com, use the code SNOWMAN, SNOWMAN, and you'll take 10% off of your purchase. And I think we still have right now a big 60% off sale. So you can take your 60% off plus use the code, which would be a total of 70% off sale right now.
Can we be sponsored by that?
Just send an email to the website, and one of my partners will get back with you.
Awesome, man. And for us, we are Wrestling IQ 101. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Wrestling IQ 101. And thanks again, Al, for taking the time out to talk to us.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
You have just listened to the Wrestling IQ 101 podcast, powered by B Plus Player Radio.
One more for the good guy.